Human beings are biologically wired with an optimism bias. We meticulously plan for our next promotion, our next vacation, and our retirement. We assume the trajectory of our lives will be a smooth, predictable upward curve. But reality is relentlessly chaotic. Yesterday, we saw how a sudden job loss threatened to dismantle David and Elena's perfectly curated life. But corporate downsizing is just one variable. Today, we must confront the other unavoidable shocks that shatter the illusion of control: medical emergencies, family crises, and macroeconomic downturns. Let's imagine a different Tuesday. David keeps his job, but life strikes from a different angle. Their 4-year-old daughter develops a sudden, severe fever and requires an emergency appendectomy. The procedure is successful, but the financial aftermath is brutal. Despite having health insurance, their policy dictates high deductibles and massive out-of-pocket maximums. Within 48 hours, they are hit with a $10,000 medical bill. Without a liquid emergency fund, this isn't just a health crisis. It instantly mutates into a financial crisis. When you are forced to navigate a medical emergency without a financial safety net, a psychological phenomenon known as cognitive tunneling occurs. Your brain, overwhelmed by stress, loses the capacity for rational, long-term planning. Instead of focusing on their daughter's recovery, Elena and David spend sleepless nights arguing in hospital corridors about how to pay the bill. Should they take out a predatory personal loan? Should they max out their high-interest credit cards? The lack of capital robs them of their presence. Crises also extend beyond our immediate household. Consider the aging parent. Elena receives a phone call that her father has suffered a stroke. He requires immediate, round-the-clock care, or expensive structural modifications to his home to make it accessible. Family duty is a profound traditional value, but executing that duty requires resources. If you are living paycheck to paycheck, your ability to provide care is severely paralyzed. You are forced into an agonizing trade-off between securing your own family's survival and assisting the parents who raised you. Then there are systemic, macroeconomic shocks, a sudden global recession, or aggressive inflation. In this scenario, David and Elena might keep their jobs, but the cost of groceries, utilities, and gasoline spikes by 20%. Their carefully calculated budget is instantly obliterated. Because they have zero margin of safety, this macroeconomic shift isn't just a headline on the evening news. It dictates what they can afford to put on their dinner table. They become victims of circumstances entirely outside their control. The most terrifying aspect of risk is that it compounds. Real life rarely serves up one crisis at a time. It operates on the domino effect. A recession triggers a job loss, which causes immense stress, which triggers a health issue, just as the family car's transmission completely fails. When you have no financial buffer, the first domino guarantees the fall of the rest. A single point of failure collapses the entire architecture of your life. This is the definition of fragility. Now, let us apply the antidote. Let's inject a fully funded 6-month emergency fund into these exact same scenarios. The daughter goes to the hospital. The $10,000 bill arrives. David does not panic. He logs into his high-yield savings account, transfers the funds, and pays the bill in full. The financial impact is contained. The crisis is neutralized. What was once an existential threat is downgraded to an administrative inconvenience. Because they possess liquid capital, Elena and David earn the ultimate privilege during a tragedy: the privilege of focus. They sit by their daughter's bed and focus entirely on holding her hand. They focus on loving her, not on financing her. When Elena's father falls ill, she doesn't have to choose between her parents and her daughter. The emergency fund allows her to hire professional care or take a month of unpaid leave without jeopardizing her own household survival. She acts out of love, not constraint. This is the profound difference between fragility and resilience. Fragility means you break when you are exposed to volatility. Resilience means you are engineered to absorb the shock, adapt, and remain standing. Your emergency fund is the foundation of your resilience. It acts as a firewall between the chaos of the external world and the sanctity of your internal life. It ensures that when life happens suddenly, your core values remain untouchable. We cannot control macroeconomic policies, we cannot control corporate downsizing, and we can't entirely control our health, but we have absolute control over our preparation. A fully funded safety net is not just a pile of cash. It is an insurance policy on your family's emotional well-being. But knowing you need an emergency fund and actually building one are two entirely different things. Tomorrow, we will transition from theory to execution. We will outline the exact practical steps to build an impenetrable emergency fund from zero, even if you feel like you have absolutely no money left at the end of the month. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you then.